You didn't lose your wife. You didn't lose your kids. You didn't lose your house. You just lost one thing, something no one thought would matter so much. The natural look in people's eyes. Back then, every time you walked into a room, you were the one who lit it up. Friends laughed. Co-workers leaned on you. Life was busy, but you felt relevant. Then one day, people's eyes started to glance past you like you were just a shadow. No one asked, "How have you been?" No one waited for your opinion in meetings. No one noticed when you started leaving parties earlier than usual. No one noticed when you started pulling away, then disappeared. Not because you weren't important, but because you did too good a job pretending you didn't need to be noticed. You didn't complain, didn't seek pity, didn't shout to make someone stay. You just stepped back, quietly, one step at a time, and no one saw it, until the last look stopped seeing you as a man and only as part of the background. You weren't abandoned. You were depleted. At first, she always called, always asked if you had eaten, always left little notes when you left early for work. You thought this is love, but then it all became obligation. You paid, you listened. You fixed everything in the house from faucets to her moods. Little by little, no one asked, "How are you feeling today?" Only, "Why haven't you done that yet?" You weren't abandoned. You were drained, not in one big breakup, but in 1,000 little things, until you were just a function, not a man. You didn't lose money. You lost the way people looked at you. After the breakup, you didn't cry. You worked, stayed polite, on time, paid everything she asked for. But then, she told her friends you were cold, told her family you didn't know how to love, and you became the mistake in a story you weren't allowed to tell. You lost your reputation in places you were once respected, lost your voice in your own life. No one asked, "Are you hurting?" Only whispers, nods agreeing with things you couldn't defend. You didn't lose money. You lost your voice. When you collapsed, no one remembered you were the one lifting others up. When you were strong, you carried all the weight. You paid for the meals. You were the peacemaker when tension rose among friends. But one day, you said, "I'm tired. I need rest." And silence followed. No one asked, "How can we help?" Only cancelled plans, shorter texts, and your shadow slowly faded from the group photo. You realized loyalty isn't measured by the time you've given, but by how much energy you still have left to offer. When you had nothing left, you had no one. You were replaced, not because you failed, but because people wanted something new. She used to say, "I love your stability. You're mature. You make me feel safe." And then, she smiled brightly next to someone unstable, immature, but new, young, different. You realized, people don't always leave because you were wrong. They leave because they've gotten too used to you. And sometimes, familiarity is where love dies. It wasn't that she turned cold, but that you were always the one reaching out. You started the talks, made the plans, sent the "Did you sleep yet?" texts, booked the tables. You thought that was love. She thought that was default. Until one day, you stopped. No more texts, no more plans, no more check-ins. And the truth showed. She didn't feel the absence. She didn't wonder, because when someone's used to one-way effort, they forget how to connect. She didn't change. You stopped filling in the gaps. Not every home looks like a house. You once believed. Having a wife, a house, a dinner that was the model of a stable man, you tried to build that. Spent your youth buying something called home. But over time, that place had no laughter, no warmth, just rules. Don't leave a mess, don't come home late, don't be too quiet. You realized the house you called a home was just a place holding two exhausted people too scared to let go. And then, a small wooden cabin in the woods, an RV parked on the highway, a studio apartment with a cat, gave you the sense of home that the mansion never could. Words of love have no warranty. You used to get texts every morning short, but enough to believe this is the one who'll stay. Then one day, those messages vanished. No warning. You remember one afternoon on the golf course, club in hand, mind blank. You realized you once trusted promises like a guaranteed ticket, but they tear easily. You learned sweet words aren't lies, but only actions show who stays when the sun goes down. You weren't the first choice, just the right man at the right time. In RV gatherings, you heard a tough truth. People didn't choose you because you were special, but because you were safe, available, trustworthy. You weren't the man of her dreams. You were the place she landed when dreams broke. You thought stability was noble. Now you know it can also mean backup plan. You carried memories. She carried a suitcase. No lawsuits, no big fights. Just one day, she left with a polite note. You owed no money but learned lessons heavier than bills. You packed your little RV. A cup, a photo, a morning coffee routine. Small things that weigh on every breath. She took her luggage far away, but you kept the memories to learn how to live again. Dating turned into interviews with no job offer. You tried a dating app. Nice profile, endless questions. They didn't ask, "What do you enjoy in your free time?" 2. They asked, "What do you have? How much do you earn? Where are you planning to live?" You smiled, shut the phone, sat in a small-town bar, chatted with the bartender about roads you've driven. There, no one interviewed you. There, you didn't have to prove your worth with numbers. She wanted a provider, not a partner. One day, you took your buddies fishing men over 50. They laughed, talked about simple joys. You realized no one judged them by how many fish they caught. They just showed up, shared the moment. You remembered days when your presence had to be paid for with effort, with solutions. You never want to go back to that. You want partnership, not performance. Peace is cheaper than love. One morning, you parked your RV by a quiet lake, opened the window, let the pine-scented breeze in. No arguing, no schedules, no eyes expecting you to carry one more load. You sat, drank coffee, watched a little bird land on your mirror. You knew that moment wasn't loud, wasn't romantic in a storybook way, but it was real. Peace didn't cost you anything, it only gave. And you realized being alone isn't as scary as losing yourself again. You don't hate love. You just know it once cost you the best parts of who you were. Not because she was bad. Not because you weren't good enough. Just that. Between expectations and reality, between love and need, between giving and self-preservation, you once picked the wrong balance. One time, on Route 66, you stopped at a small diner. The older server asked, "Riding solo?" You nodded. No need to explain. He didn't ask more, just placed a coffee cup down, smiled, and walked away. And in that moment you felt seen. No proving, no storytelling. Peace doesn't come from big things. It comes when you stop trying to please everyone. When you no longer live afraid of losing someone, but begin living to not lose yourself. You don't need applause now. Don't need someone shouting your name at the finish line. You just want to walk slow, sit in the afternoon sun, watch a bird land on the roof of your RV, and know you don't have to run anymore. If someone asks, "You okay?" you don't answer right away. You just smile. Because being okay sometimes doesn't need to be said out loud. It lives in the way you quietly choose peace instead of chasing someone to fill the silence. And if you've ever lost something you thought would break you, but you're still here, still breathing, still quietly moving forward, leave a message so other men know they're not alone. She left, but in that space, I found my peace.